This is my HPI RS4 Sport3, which I've built into an awesome street basher, but today we're going to turn this into a rally car. Although this car is a lot of fun as it is right now, I personally just love the look of a rally car and the way it moves, so that's what we're going to try to replicate today. There are a couple things we need to do to achieve that look, and one of those things is making sure we have more suspension travel and softer suspension as well, so we have that nice off-road stability. And also, we can't be driving on these tires off-road. We obviously need some nice rally tires. And then lastly, this body doesn't work for a rally car, so we need something else. And while we're on it, we're going to change out these magnets for regular body posts, because these magnets absolutely suck on high speed and especially off-road. So here we have a stock shock, and as you can see it's pretty short and really stiff. But I've got some nice upgrades. I've got these nice aluminium shocks right here, so let's unbox them. So here we have some really nice red aluminium shocks, but as you can see they are way longer than the stock shocks. That's because these are actually shocks made for a crawler. But that's a good thing, because that means they're relatively soft in comparison to the on-road shocks. Now the only problem is that it's way too long and it doesn't fit on the chassis right now, so we gotta have to do some modifications. But I've got two ideas how we can make it work. So as you can see, if you were to screw this on right here in the top hole, it's way too long and it will never be able to fit, but I've got some ideas. And first of all, I think we could cut some bits out of the chassis to give more clearance to the suspension arm, so let's do that. And to make life a little bit easier, I will take off this wheel. Here goes nothing. Yeah, we need more of. Still not enough, I think. Alright, let's see if that does the trick. Still doesn't quite fit. So I've been looking at it a little bit, and I noticed that this part of the wheel hub is actually touching the suspension arm. So we gotta make some clearance in the arm itself. And to do that, we gotta take the arm completely off the car. So now we're gonna cut some pieces out of here and just trial and error if it fits or not. So I'll be back with you guys when it fits. So a lot of cutting later. It's not how I wanted it yet, but if we take a look at the amount of travel we have now, that's a significant amount more. But I couldn't cut any more material off, because then it would get so weak and probably with the first crash it would break. But I think this is pretty good. But if we take one of the shocks, the new shocks, yeah, it's still not gonna fit. But I've got another trick. Because if you take a look at the old shock, you can see the bottom rod end is way shorter on the old shock than on the new shock. So I will try to put the rod end from the old shock on the new shock, so we remain the same amount of travel on the shock, but the shock overall will get shorter and fit better onto the car. And voila, this is what it looks like now, and this is what the shock looked like when they came out of the box. You can see the rod end on how I modified it is way shorter, so let's see how it fits onto the car. Now if I want to put this shock onto the shock tower, you can see I actually need to screw it on instead of it popping onto this little ball that's right here, like the stock shock used to be mounted. This one has a screw on, so I gotta find some screws somewhere. Give me a minute. Right, got myself a screw and got a little box over here for the other shocks. And well, let's screw it on. Just like that, and then the bottom, you can see it's still a little on the long side, but I think it will be fine. Just like that. Look at that, really nice. So now, all I gotta do is modify all the suspension arms all around the car and put the shocks on all the same way as I did here. And I'm not gonna film all that, because it's basically the same process as I did here. So yeah, give me a minute and then I'll have them all around mounted up. Alright, here it is. I got all the shocks on there, on the front and the rear. They look really cool with the aluminium on there. All the red aluminium looks really cool. And now it's time to make this car look more like a rally car. And also put some new wheels on, because these ones are done. And after putting those wheels on, it's time to put the new body on. And yes, I did it again. So for the wheels, I've got these wheels from Fastrax, these rally style wheels. So let's open them up. Here they are. Nice white wheels. I think they look really cool, and the grip pattern looks really good and actually feels really grippy. My hands are a bit dirty and they slip quite a bit on the tire, but yeah, they feel really good. I'm really excited to test these out. So yeah, let's put these on the car. Boom. Here it is. Look at that. That's really cool. And with these wheels on there, you can now finally see how much more ground clearance it has. That's so epic. Now it's time to put on the new body, but to do that we're first gonna get rid of these magnets because they're absolutely awful for high speed, especially off-road. There we go. Old body posts removed, now it's time for the new ones. Since I had to cut off these front ones, I just got myself a completely new set of body posts. They were actually really hard to find. In my country they were nowhere in stock. I found these in a little store somewhere in Belgium. They had only one pair left, so I bought them. So let's put them on there. These ones can go away, and these new ones we're going to put in. And while I'm doing that, I'm going to put on the foam bumper that came with the car, but it didn't fit with the body I put on it. So hopefully with this body it will fit. I think it will. There we go, the new body post and the foam bumper on there. Now onto the rear. They are a little more complicated because you gotta assemble them first. You can slide this body post up and down according to how big your body is on the rear. I'll put it somewhere in the middle for now and adjust it in a minute. There they are. This is fully assembled. Now we can screw it back on here. Just like that. Now the body stoppers in the front, I'll put them on later by the way, because I'm first going to measure out how the body is going to fit. Talking about bodies, let's take a look at the body itself. I already showed you guys it's a killer body. Yeah, you can see it already. There it is. Let's get it out. Very nice. Obviously the famous Subaru Impreza. Now it's time to figure out how we're going to put this onto the car. I actually had to put the camera at a little different position to get wider footage so I can actually show you guys how I'm going to do this. Because if we take a look at this and we align it a bit, and yeah, the rear fits really nice already. I only have to make the holes right here and don't have to adjust anything on these body posts. I think it's pretty much perfect. The front is going to be a little more complicated, but let's start off with the rear. We're going to measure out where it's exactly going to sit, and I'm going to mark out with this marker, and then we're going to make the holes. Alright, I think this is it. We're going to get our tool and make our hole. This is really scary, because I do not want to mess this up. Alright, I'll be back with you guys once I've done this. So here it is. The rear fits absolutely perfect. The front is slided away a little bit. So like this. The rear is absolutely perfect. Now it's time for the front. I removed the body post to do the rear, but I'll do the front ones on my own as well, and then I'll be right back. So here it is. I got the front body posts all measured out. I already put all the antennas on top of the roof. There's only one thing I'm not fully sure about. I think the shocks are a little bit too stiff, the springs on the shocks especially, but we'll see about that when we test it out. So let's get to it. So I had a little bit of a test drive. I've done a little bit driving off camera as well to see how it handles, and it's a lot better as a rally car as it was with the stock suspension, obviously, but it isn't quite how I want it to be. I'm going to get some softer springs to put around the shocks, and hopefully it will be a lot better then. But for now it does drive pretty cool. A lot more like a rally car than it used to before, and great success for the first video. Next video I will be making some adjustments, some better springs on it, and maybe I'll gear it down a little bit, and yeah, then I'll give you some proper driving and some rally driving as well. So see you then. Yo.